Hey, what's up, everybody? Of course, and welcome to another episode of the Victorious Ones podcast, a place where gaming meets comics, meets sports, meets movies, as well as inspiration. Of course, I'm your host, King Von Jr. Of course, I'm also a social media producer for the unpopular wrestling show, Perfect Plex Talk Radio, hosted by a friend of the program at Knox on Mondays at 6 p.m. And of course, you can follow me on social media on Twitter at 301 King Von Jr. You can follow the show's Twitter page or /X at VictoryPod1. You can also follow me on Instagram, at Mr. King Von Jr. And of course, you can also follow the show's Instagram page at Victorious Ones Podcast. Like I said, I said a little differently, kind of backwards, if you will. But like I said, of course, thank you very much for tuning in to another episode. So of course there's a lot, there's several things I want to cover as far when it comes to this. Of course, the main thing being Bad Blood, since that was that was the main attraction in regards to it this weekend. The thing is, it was certainly a great card, even though regardless how short it was. But of course, there was, along with that, there was a certain string of backlash that came the company's way in regards to the press conference. We'll talk about that in a minute. But of course, I want to talk about the week of wrestling, and as well as NFL Week 5. And so pretty much. Of course, I thank you very much for tuning in. For these past 2 weeks, as I covered the Vince McMahon documentary, and overall, summarizing events. As I've said before, that dude is Lex Luthor. If there was a comic book equivalent to Vince, as I said before, he's Lex Luthor, plain and simple. Enough said. And so, but yeah, like I said, I'm going to cover, I'm going to cover the week. Messages, excuse me, I hope you hear that in the background. But yeah, like I said, if anything, I'm going to give my recap, of NFL Week 5. And so, Week 5 starts off with Thursday Night Football, as the Falcons defeat the Buccaneers 36-30. Of course, on Sunday, the Vikings defeat the Jets 23-17. The Bears crushed the Panthers 36-10. The Commanders destroyed the Browns 34-13. The Dolphins defeat the Patriots 15-10. Jags defeat the Colts 37-34. Texans defeat the Bills 23-20. Of course, the Ravens defeat the Bengals in overtime 41-38. By the way, the Falcons and Bucks game also went overtime. Like I said, of course, the Ravens defeat the Bengals 41-38. And of course, side note, congratulations on order for Derrick Henry for of course for reaching 10,000 career rushing yards. And so he's among elite company when it comes to NFL history. So congratulations to him on that momentous feat. Of course, the Denver Broncos defeat the now Las Vegas Raiders 34-18. The Cardinals defeat the 49ers 24-23. As like San Francisco was on the verge of pressing the panic button. Of course, the Giants defeat the Seahawks 29-20. Packers defeat the Rams 24-19. Of course, the Cowboys defeat the Steelers on Sunday Night Football 20-17, in spite of a 90-minute rain delay. That's how bad the rain is coming down in Pittsburgh. So much so to the point where they even showed like waterfall rain coming down the stairs. And but yeah, of course, even with that, of course, Dallas Smith managed to get the victory Thursday 2017 on Sunday Night Football, excuse me. And on Monday Night Football, the Kansas City Chiefs crushed the New Orleans Saints 26-13, isn't it? And also, speaking of Mondays, this past Monday was the very first time in 12 years that Raw, 12 years that Raw had a 2-hour show. But of course, that's it for when it comes to my coverage. At least when it comes to my NFL coverage, now it's time to move on, to the main thing, to the main ingredient. Let me slow down, of course. I'm going to talk about Friday Night Smackdown. Let's get to it. Let's get to it. Get ready. So of course, um, like when it comes to this line of the main features, of course, we got to look at the Bloodline versus Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. Sneak preview of that. It's the go home show. We have Misha versus Chelsea Green in a dumpster match, which is hilarious. Naomi versus Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany time. Of course, the Bloodline versus Street Profits versus DIY. The tag title ladder match, and we saw the return of the phenomenal AJ Styles. And AJ returns in a match. And a match with not just anybody, but someone you can tell that he greatly influenced by the name of Carmelo Hayes. And then, of course, AJ Styles got a warm welcome from a crowd that's happy to see him in his hometown of Atlanta, Georgia. And, of course, Carmelo Hayes being the interrupter, being the heel that he is, obviously wanted to crash the party. And, of course, AJ Styles challenged to a match, but Melo said he wasn't interested. LA Knight showed up and said if Melo beats AJ, he was going to ask to defend his title against Melo. Of course, this led to a match rapid break. So, of course, this is a good match as expected. And so, however, AJ Styles unfortunately had to forfeit the match, being his leg and buckle. So, you definitely tell he was truly upset because the thing is, we definitely could have gotten more out of that match. Unfortunately, a match that seemed like a dream match, a fantasy match ends by way of forfeit. Especially with AJ's return, and like the night that you first come back, you end up having an injury. It's very, very unfortunate, especially in a match that is definitely considered worthy of a fantasy match. Just like a passing the torch. Right. Next up, we have Misha versus Chelsea Green in a dumpster match, and of course, Misha and Chelsea were looking at themselves to finish off their feud in a dumpster match, which is pretty much the same as a casket match, only much smellier. So of course, it took them no time, for them to use weapons such as a baking sheet, kindle stick, garbage can, as well as the table. And of course, Misha ended up in the dumpster, was able to escape before Chelsea shut the lid, and of course, Misha crushed Chelsea with a trash can before Piper Niven showed up dressed like a trash collector, trying to help Chelsea win. But of course, it didn't take long for Misha to recover. She powerbombed Chelsea to the dumpster through a table, and then closed the lid to win. And so it was definitely a pretty fun, sort of chaos, if you will. And it was definitely a much needed win for Misha to at least elevate her stock back up a little bit, as much as she could. And this became the running gag that no matter where Chelsea went, that smell followed her. You know what I mean? So of course, like Michael Cole, I'm just saying Chelsea Green is a direct descendant of Fred Sanford, or whatever. Just because of the dumpster Sanford or whatever. Might as well say Oscar the Grouch, to be honest with you. And as a matter of fact, her dress train was made up of trash bags. Of course, there were references to NWA and TNA during AJ's match. Of course, we heard Chainsaw Charlie reference as well. Of course, like I said, those some of the clip notes, if you will. Then moving on to Naomi versus Tiffany Stratton. And of course, the winner of this match is Naomi. Of course, Bayley called out Nia Jax. They definitely exchanged words, about their upcoming match. And of course, Bayley got into Tiffany's skin, and a fight broke out. So of course, Tiffany looked like she was going to cash in after Nia was taken down. But of course, Nia caught her just in time. Caught just in time, and Tiffany ended up leaving. And of course, Naomi came out for a match against Tiffany. Well, actually, Nia ended up leaving, but just in time for Naomi to have a match with Tiffany Stratton. And so of course, Naomi and Tiffany definitely have developed a pretty good chemistry. But but of course, Tiffany's Stratton's athleticism was on full display, along with Naomi's agility as well. And I think the thing is, when it comes to Tiffany Stratton, I think a lot of people that forget that she's definitely the real deal. Even when you look past this whole Barbie girl thing. Like I said, if you remember Tiffany Stratton in NXT, especially with that match against Becky, old girl showed that she can get down. You know what I mean? Like Tiffany showed that she can definitely get down. And so especially when it comes to athleticism standpoint, oh yeah, like I said, if you give her the green light, Tiffany can definitely deliver. Tiffany can definitely deliver. And so of course, in the end, Naomi won, with a counter, user experience. Then of course, Tiffany called Billy by a government name by mistake, which of course is Pam Martinez, of course, and and of course, the funniest backstage segments was that there were several people, showed that they, that they didn't like the smell of Chelsea Green anytime she walked around backstage, and of course, spoiler alert, the smell carried over into bad blood the next night, so 24 hours of not taking a shower, how does that happen? But anyway, next up we have a tag title ladder match: the Street Profits versus the Bloodline versus Timu Bloodline versus DIY. Of course we have Tom. Of course, was he competing in a 3-way ladder match for the tag titles, and of course this definitely had this definitely had some of the ingredients to make it a better ladder match, but of course it definitely felt very much sort of rushed, if you will. Of course I guess because it's especially the second time, but they definitely worked, brought their very best. But of course, in the end, the Team Bloodline ends up winning and retains the tag team titles. Jacob Fatu's backstage intro was great when he introduced Solo. He is Solo's ultimate hype man. He's looking to give Paul Heyman a run for his money when it comes to tribal chief hype man. So as far as that, and sorry for that. So of course that's pretty much that was the go home show when it came to Smackdown. At least it's a pretty good way to prepare for the following night, Bad Blood. And speaking of Bad Blood, Bad Blood, WWE Bad Blood took place, of course, at the Phillips Arena in Atlanta, home of the Atlanta Hawks. Of course, Atlanta is the house of Dominique Wilkins built, if you will. And as a matter of fact, Bad Blood took place 27 years ago to the day of his debut. So Bad Blood took place 27 years ago, October 5th, 1997. And so this Bad Blood took place on the very same day, 27 years later. And a few significant things about Bad Blood in 1997. Rest in peace, Brian Pillman, by the way. Because that was the night that was revealed that Pillman died. And also, another thing about Bad Blood 97 was that was the debut of the Hell in a Cell match with Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker. And that also marked the debut of Kane. So the very first Bad Blood is very historic for many reasons. But of course, what I like about this is that of course they bring back the original self, Hell in a Cell. So of course, gone are the days where they had gone are the days where they had the red cage. So of course they went back to their roots, and of course it was definitely great to see. So of course for the first time in 2 decades, first time in 20 years, the last Bad Blood took place in 2004. So for the first time in 20 years, WWE presented Bad Blood as a premium live event. Sorry about that. Live on air. Sorry about that. But like I said, it's kicked off by CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre inside Hell in a Cell. And of course that match topped the card that also featured the duo, of course the unlikely unconventional duo of Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns go up against Bloodline's self-proclaimed tribal chief Solo Sikoa, as well as Solo's enforcer Jacob Fatu. So this, like I said, this Bad Blood, definitely exceeded expectations. And what better way to kick this off than the Hell in a Cell match itself? CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. This is definitely the exclamation point to the rivalry, which the seeds really planted ever since last year when Punk made his return at Survivor Series War Games in Chicago. And ever since then, of course, the Royal Rumble, was this past year's Royal Rumble, Drew McIntyre injured CM Punk, put him on the shelf. Of course, sidelined until where he couldn't compete at WrestleMania. So there goes Punk's chance of the main event. Bye bye. Of course, Punk, of course, after Drew defeats Seth to become the World Heavyweight Champion. Of course, instead of going backstage, Drew plays in Punk's face, and of course, it just mocks him. And so, of course, CM Punk reveals that his arm wasn't hurt anymore, and he goes on, as we all know, to attack Drew after the match, only for Damian Priest, only for Damian Priest to cash in and become the World Heavyweight Champion from there. Yeah, so of course this blood feud, like I say, just absolute full on hate. No matter what, each one of them interfere in each other's matches and all kinds of stuff like that. And so that so if anything, I would say that this was definitely the perfect conclusion. I'd say to otherwise a very intense feud. You can make an argument that this could be the rivalry of the year. You can make an argument for this possibly being the match of the year. Because the thing is, they gave their all. This was an absolute war zone, and of course, neither one of them held anything back at all whatsoever. Whether it was a Claymore kick, white noise. In a matter of fact, Punk even broke up the sharpshooter, and so now they have they even use tools and they use tools and bust each other open. Of course, they're each bleeding, but the main, the main spot that really is etched in my mind is when Punk put Drew in the sharpshooter, a la Bret Hart versus Stone Cold WrestleMania 13, and that iconic image of Boston's face covered in crimson, like I said, face covered in nothing but blood, and as he's screaming in pain. And I like the way that they remade that, recreated that. I thought that was a great touch to this match, and of course it was this match definitely had ultimately definitely had the appropriate violence, and and the thing is that they didn't need to push boundaries just for the sake of shock value. AEW by name, like the thing about it is that this match showed what you could do when it comes to having a great on-sell match, telling a great story. They push the lines that they need to push, but not go overboard. Of course, in this match, you never see a syringe, you never see a cinder block, you never see either one of them taking a plastic bag and trying to suffocate the other. You know what I mean? So and the thing is, of course, they're above that. That type of trash is, excuse the expression, kind of beneath. You know what I mean? So of course they didn't have to follow, they didn't have to follow the blueprint of all EBT wrestling, and CM Punk in WWE is just so much more invigorating. Whereas in AEW, he looked old, he looked disheveled, he might have been some recovering meth addict or something like that. You know what I mean? Like he was just out of it. Punk in AEW just let himself go. You know what I mean? Like this dude really didn't care. And so but like he was saying, he was old and tired. He's tired with children and things like that. But when it came to being in WWE, he got back to the very best shape of his career, of his life. You know what I mean? Like I said, this Punk is like I said, just a whole breath of fresh air, and of course you could definitely see it in this match with Drew. You know what I mean? Like they definitely brought the absolute best out of each other, and so I would say that this feud with Drew by far, is way better than anything he's ever done in AEW. Let's call it what it is. And of course, CM Punk ultimately, ultimately put the exclamation point on when he gave Drew, when he defeated Drew with GTS to go to sleep. Once and for all, for 1, 2, 3, and you can tell that they're both just spent, just worn out. And also, I like how I like how Drew, I like how near the end, Drew had fed Punk with fed Punk those friendship bracelet beads. You know what I mean? Actually, no, not Drew feeding Punk, but at the end, of course, after Sharpshooter, I like how Punk put those friendship bracelet beads, shoved them down Drew's throat before he finished him off, with the go to sleep for the victory. And so expectations were high, and I would say they would not only met, I would say they exceeded expectations. And so you definitely tell that they certainly took notes from WrestleMania 13, especially in the spot with easy toolbox with Punk just obliterated Drew McIntyre with the toolbox face, which is reminiscent of what Bret did to Austin. You know what I mean? And even though Punk bled, Drew McIntyre looked like he was looked like his head was a fountain. You know what I mean? And but yeah, like I said, they definitely made the most out of this Hell in a Cell match, and they made sure to completely knock out the park and set the standard, set the tone for the rest of the PLE for the pay-per-view. Next up, we have the WWE Women's Championship match: Bayley versus Nia Jax. So of course, sorry about that. Of course, the saga with Tiffany, the money in the bank, excuse me, with Tiffany in the briefcase, and whether or not she wants to cash in, just going to hang over the WWE Women's Championship match, and so of course, both Nia and Bayley broke out new moves, and of course, definitely great new counters to catch each other off guard, and of course, the irresistible force herself, Nia Jax, definitely used her size and strength and power advantage early, but of course, Bayley, just used that tenacity, just used that underdog grit and toughness that she has. That's definitely made her career what it is now. Of course, I also like how Nia even used the Hurricane Rana. I was like, oh wow, wait a minute, excuse me. Of course, as far as that, excuse me. Of course, later in the match, Tiffany Stratton appeared. Of course, they played Tiffany time. She capitalized on the ref buck. Of course, to hit Bayley with the briefcase. And so of course, referee Jessica Carr recovered and grabbed the briefcase. She got the impression that that Tiffany was going to cash in, only for Nia to rise up like the Undertaker, and of course, seeing Tiffany with the briefcase definitely earned the wrath of Nia. You know what I mean? So much like that the Friday Night Smackdown when Nia choked Tiffany. You know what I mean? In terms of that rage, that wrath, you can definitely see it in Nia's face in that match. It just so happened that she was wearing red in honor of bad blood. How about that? So Bayley nearly got the win with the roll up, but one last distraction by Tiffany, of course, allowed Nia to cut off her opponent early and delivered a Samoan, or at least the Annihilator for the win. So this match with Bayley and Jax was in a position of the card that was, unenviable. Like something that nobody was jealous of. The position that nobody was jealous of. From the following the epic Hell in a Cell match, but they definitely made sure to deliver. And of course, the tension between Jax and Stratton continues to remain. Of course, Becky Bayley's gonna have a gripe with Naomi, who allegedly supposed to be a friend, but was too busy partying with with their fellow co-hosts, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. And by the way, shout out to the Big Three, Uncle Big Three, as they call me, the Destiny's Child of wrestling. Of course, Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, and Naomi with the hosts of of Bad Blood. So so of course, Bailey thinks that Naomi was supposed to be a friend or whatnot, but obviously Naomi had other plans, partying with Jade and Bianca, and so of course Bailey felt that she was left high and dry, and I know this definitely going to be a key factor with their direction, of course, direction going forward, and so sorry about that, of course with that. And I would say that one of the biggest highlights was the Nia Karana, or her Karana, okay, the Nia Karana, if you will. So like I said, I thought that was pretty cool. But of course, next up we have Damon Priest versus Finn Balor in a grudge match. So what's so much for credibility when it comes to the Judgment Day is pretty much non-existent. Following Damon Priest's victory over Finn Balor, of course, this past Saturday at Bad Blood. It's just like it never felt like Finn really had much of a chance to beat Damien, and so it's just like so much for the heat from this grudge match. It really wasn't too much on the right about. So of course we're gonna move forward with this, and then of course Triple H, Mr. COO, Chief Content Officer, CCO, Chief Content Officer, Triple H, will be able to restore the night at the box office Saturday night for Bad Blood. Well, he also unveiled, the Crown Jewel Championship, and of course the title is going to be competed for on November 2nd at Crown Jewel in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, as the top two men's and women's champions compete against each other, with the winner hoisting the new diamond-studded championship belt. So it's going to be Cody versus Gunther. When it comes to the men, so that means it's going to have to be Nia versus Liv when it comes to the women. And I must say, that belt, I'm not the biggest fan of as much as I like to collect belts. I think that's going to be a big no for me, to be honest with you. But I will say that after the announcement, Gunther definitely wasted a little time trolling Goldberg. The guy that he said was his favorite wrestler of all time. The guy that he said that in front of Bret Hart, by the way, just for the sake of trolling Bret. Of course, Gunther just likes to do things to troll. He's now the ring general, but I guess he's the ring troll pretty much. You know what I mean? Or he's the troll general. But yeah, of course, like he continued to taunt Goldberg, who's ringside with his wife and son. The very son they want to make sure sees his last big run. For whatever reason, it doesn't really matter to me. I don't lose any sleep over Goldberg, so who cares? All right, good for him. What the freaking do, but whatever. Of course, Goldberg, Mr. Hall of Famer, popped over the guardrail and would have battled, Gunther. Had security not stepped in, so instead, Sami Zayn, of course, attacked the ring general and preview the main event on Monday Night Raw. And of course, Goldberg, still tall to close out the segment. It's just like it's pretty much like whatever. I feel as though, I guess you could say that Triple H is make sure he kept the word that Vince kept for Goldberg. So it's almost like he's indebted to just make sure that Goldberg has one last run, farewell or whatever. It doesn't matter to me. But of course, next up we have the Women's World Championship match. Sorry about that. But yeah, like I said, next up we have the Women's World Championship match. The Shark Cage, some Shark Cage, whatever. Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan. With Dominic Shark Cage. Hanging over the ring, or at least hanging above ringside, or at least the cage gonna be hanging above the entrance. And so So of course, the first 2/3 of the uh, women's world title defense against Rhea Ripley that we made for a pretty strong match. That that Sarah used. Of course, Sarah used Rhea's intensity and emotion and rage against her, to at least like, at least use that momentum against her. Before Rhea finally come back and end up dominating her later on the match. And so so of course then we cut to the nonsense, the shenanigans with Dominic in the cage. As he managed to open the door and of course drew the attention of Rhea herself. Of course, as she proceeded to grab the kendo stick and hit Dominic like he was a human pinata. And so, with Rhea being distracted, Raquel Rodriguez made a return, to crickets, by the way. It was just like, all right, yeah, whatever you hear, all right, cool. She got no reaction whatsoever. Zero, zilch, nada, nothing. We talk about ain't nobody coming to see you, Raquel. That's what that is. You know what I mean? People talk about ain't nobody coming to see you. Oh, ain't nobody coming to see you, Raquel. In aspects, it's certainly not the people over Atlanta, certainly not the people like myself watching at home. It was dead silence. Like, why? Especially when I see this feud eventually have some type of conclusion. And so, just to throw Raquel in there, just because her and Liv, used to be tag team partners, it's just like, whatever. Like, it's just got to the point where I feel like this whole Judgment Day thing, it's time to wrap this up. And so I feel as though Raquel was just in unnecessary cog in the wheel, and so of course Raquel made a return and she wiped out Rhea Ripley, with that power bomb, and then of course drew a disqualification win for the Eradicator himself. Like was the referee to call that no contest and throw the match out. So of course the former women's tag champs, being Liv and Raquel celebrated along with Dirty Dom, to close out this match. But this is like the finish was very much unnecessary. Dominic, could easily, easily remain in the cage, so unable to help Liv, and then, but just with that, it's just like whatever is completely unnecessary. It's like an unnecessary detour for Rhea as she moves on a few with Raquel, and I was like, I would have rather seen Rhea finish the feud with Liv by taking the belt away, taking the title away from him. That's how I would much rather have seen this feud conclude. But instead, now she's got to focus on Raquel, which is very unnecessary. Meanwhile, Liv Morgan was facing another challenge and keep her busy for a while. So it's just like the finish of this match felt very, very, very flat, flatter than a pancake. And so it definitely didn't get the reaction that everybody backstage hoped for, whatever the team hoped for. So it's just like I guess Rhea versus Raquel would be a quality feud in terms of two powerhouses, whatever. There's definitely more than enough time for this chapter of this rivalry to come to an end. But this is like now we're it's like this finish drag down, otherwise pretty good match. So it's whatever. It's like whatever. I'm not really that interested. But next up, we have the main event: Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. So with Roman and Cody, despite questions about their chemistry or questions if whether or not they could coexist, were able to fight off a concentrated attack from Jacob Solo. And of course, they got the better of the team bloodline in this main event, and especially with Cody being the hometown hero, and they even had marching band. I think it was like the Georgia Tech march band, and of course they made sure to have uh, black dancers. You know, like they made sure to have made sure that the black let's see, they made sure to have the black female dancers, from the march band. You know what I mean? Like in terms of like ushering Cody. You know what I mean? So as far as that, so you definitely want to lean heavy into that part. You know, you Mr. Hometown Hero, Mr. You know, uh, of course, like the MLK memes and all this other type of stuff that I don't even want to get into. Things like that. Mr. So black folk hero, for black wrestling Twitter, I guess you would say. Um, it's like whatever. But yeah, of course, um, the match played itself out like a standard tag team match, at least for the majority of the time. Um, like of course, focusing, spending a lot of time on on attacking the American Nightmare before he got the hot tag to the original Tribal Chief, sparked the comeback. And of course, from that point on, Reigns and Rose did not look back. And of course, Cody wiped out Jacob with a splash from the top rope of the ring post through the announce table. And so, of course, made sure that Jacob eliminated from the action. And of course, it set the stage perfectly for Roman solo showdown. The OTC versus the self-proclaimed pseudo chief, whatever. And of course, you have Tama Tonga at the game. Bloodline beeps and butthead. But of course, in the end, it was the return of Jimmy Uso that wiped out both of them at ringside with a super kick. And of course, it was a much needed distraction for Roman to just deliver the spear for the win. And it was post match beatdown Cody about the team of Bloodline as Roman and Jimmy were leaving. And so first, Roman didn't want to go back in there. He felt like I guess he fulfilled his word or whatever. But of course, it was Jimmy that they had to remind him, like, hey, look, this is what you got to do. And so he talked Roman to convince him and run back and help him Cody. Very tense stare down between Reigns and Rhodes to close out the show until the most electrifying man in sports entertainment, the final boss, made his return, The Rock, with that special Muhammad Ali family championship belt that he got at Hall of Fame. And so of course at the end, Rock stared down the current champion and the OTC, the original Tribal Chief. And so, and of course, if you look at the way that he did 1, 2, 3, and then like the other throat cut, I'm like, oh, so this is definitely going to spark the division, because I feel as though Rock, looking at Roman like, why are you teaming up with a guy that took the title from the family? So I'm thinking that they could definitely go down that road. And so it's like whatever it takes for this real bloodline civil war is supposed to happen in War Games. And ultimately, at the end of the day, as long as it leads us to Rock versus Roman in Vegas, that's all that matters to me at this point. I do not want to see Rock versus Cody, unless it's night one or something. But at the end of the day, you got to have a one-on-one with Rock versus Roman. It'll be very, very interesting if Roman won the Royal Rumble this year, which will mark 10 years since he was booed while The Rock raised his arm in victory. So that'll be that'll be very interesting dynamic in and of itself, if you will. But overall, when it comes to this pay-per-view or PLE, very interesting when it comes to belt grades. So if I were to rank this when it comes to a belt grade, I would give it to the champions that we had over the years. Um, well, 4 out of 5. Randy Orton, 2009, Age of Orton, WWE title reigns. If I had to give it a belt grade, you know. So yeah, as far as that, that concludes Bad Blood, and so now it's time to move into Monday Night Raw. Sorry about that. Like I say, of course, following aftermath is great. And also, you know what? Before I go any further, with The Rock coming back, this definitely, I feel as though it really makes the path of this bloodline thing even clearer. Anytime the Rock is involved, I feel as though that we can definitely see sort of light at the end of the tunnel in this aspect, And me personally, I don't believe that Solo is a real tribal chief. I believe that The Rock has been the one that's been pulling the strings this whole time. And when he came out, I think it became even more relevant, even more obvious. But yeah, like I said, in that regard, and also there was quite a press conference on Saturday. Something I definitely have to, for me personally, I definitely have to talk about as well. Because Triple H definitely caught the ire of the IWC when it comes to the ire of the internet, and so clearly somebody, one of the reporters, who asked Triple H about the way he books or the way he doesn't book, like we said, the way he does it, the book of black wrestlers, black talent, and how there's been 3 straight PLEs where there have been no black wrestlers on the card, and that has been a discussion that has been boiling on the surface on the internet for the longest time, especially ever since Lashley got released. So, basically, this has been a topic that has been burning for the longest time. And so it was until an actual reporter, some member of the media, was actually was actually in the press conference with the guts to ask Triple H a question like that, and to say, Tripp's his word selection was not the greatest. It did him no favors whatsoever, especially when he said, "I don't see color, I see talent." Whatever you may ever push, what gives you the best storylines, and so it's just like I'm never seeing that, especially that the internet is going to take this down a really dark turn, and I'm most concerned with the talent that they have in the main roster, and it's just in the locker room period. As far as that, and it's definitely not a good look in Triple H's favor either when it comes to that aspect, especially when it comes to a statement like that. A statement like that comes off as very tone deaf. Comes off as you being some privileged, sheltered white man, that's never seen the outside world and the struggles that some people face that don't look like you. I mean, especially, and of course, shout out to Stephanie Hardy from Hardy Wrestling Podcast. And matter of fact, she wasn't the one that asked that question, but of course, she was definitely there, and she definitely gave great points about how this country, the default, as I've said, as I've said before, the default setting is whiteness. And so especially with with decades after decades, like consistent, of us we see more black wrestlers featured in prominent positions, right? So and the thing is, even though we've come a long way from the likes of JYD, Coco Beware, um, I mean, Bad News Brown, you know, without at least with all due respect to them, even though we're not in that stage anymore, especially with the way that they were booked and how they never sniffed the world title, they sniffed the championship, um, right? So even though we've come that far, there's still very much a long way to go, and you know, uh, Triple H definitely did not read the room when he made that statement, and he is getting obliterated online right now for that. I mean, and so um, I will say this: there's part of me that believes that if Shawn Michaels was there, he would have said to Triple H, "Look, you got to reel that back. That's it's not a good look." Um, Especially with the way that HBK, HBK books black talent on on NXT, and so things just about just about diversity and diversity of talent and things like that. So I was just, of course, him and his recruiting team, like I said, they definitely know um, the right spots to look for these great stars, and much of many of these stars come from diverse backgrounds, especially black, and so for Triple H, like let's see, like if anything, like let's see, Triple H to say what he said, I mean, like I say, as much as a legend that he is, I feel as though um, he definitely missed the mark when it came to that. Much like how Austin missed the mark on the documentary about the CTE's comment, whatever. But I'm seeing it's just like Triple H, like, come on, dude, you gotta educate yourself even more. And it's just like, especially with the way that fans have brought up his past when it came to DX as blackface, or of course, that infamous storyline with Booker T, where he's doing his best to just to completely live that down with the fans. Like, definitely not letting him live that down, especially after especially that debacle at the press conference, right? And so, if anything, it's important, for someone like that to really educate themselves and really take a long, hard, examination of the way that you know um, they position certain talent, and just examine the pattern that goes on. He sees what himself. Um, so, but anyway, like I said, enough of that. Like I say, just sort of on my soapbox, for a while. But yeah, like I said, Triple H, not the best look. But then, of course, moving on to Monday, it's a great first Monday Night Raw, 2 hour Monday Night Raw in 12 years, and of course we see the World Heavyweight Championship and Intercontinental Championship both on the line. Of course, it's definitely the bad blood fallout. So of course, Monday Night Raw took place in the Enterprise Center, St. Louis, home of New York. And of course, having the same role with NXT the following night. And so, like I said, if I'm just gonna give a rundown. CM Punk came out and thanked the fans, for the support. Of course, after just a war that he went through with Drew McIntyre, he's giving off this sort of semi-retirement speech, and things like that, only for Seth Rollins to come out, and of course, even Rollins, I wish him a speedy recovery, but he only says that because he wants to be the one to ultimately send Punk in retirement once and for all. And of course, that's Seth Rollins. He's wasting no time, and eventually calls out Bronson Reed. Um, so of course, Seth was talking about how things were going crazy since since he has been gone. Of course, Dominic was hanging in the shark cage. Final boss, The Rock is back, and so of course he had the helmet frozen over because Cody teamed up with Roman Reigns, and of course ended up getting punched in the mouth by Kevin Owens. Of course, everybody's seen that video all over the internet. When Seth says he's a visionary, he's a revolutionary. He came back to destroy Bronson Reed. And he, of course, issues a warning at any time, any place. It doesn't matter. And next up, we have the Intercontinental Championship match, regular segment with Jey Uso versus Xavier Woods. The winner of this match, main event, Jey Uso, who's still the Intercontinental Champion, and of course, Xavier is even more high rate being a sore loser. Of course, this storyline is definitely continue to marinate. Then right after that, regular match, Braun Breaker attacked Jey Uso, Kofi Kingston, and Xavier Woods. Let's see. And of course, Jackie Redmond catching up with Braun Breaker. Asking why Braun did what he did. So of course, he says nothing walks off, and so of course, so she says it's unclear why Braun had to change of heart. And of course, of course, we have a locker room segment with Karrion Kross talking to Miz. So Miz says he's not in final testimony. Then we did last week for himself. And of course, we see Wild 6 logo appeared. Of course, during the segment, and R-Truth, comes up and says he forgives Miz for attacking him. And of course, Miz reminds R-Truth, he's like, awesome truth is over. I did what I did on purpose. We're no longer a thing. Of course, he says that R-Truth wants a match. That he's going to face Miz next week on Raw. Miz walks off, and Karrion Kross follows him right afterwards. Then we have a good old-fashioned Donnybrook match between Sheamus and Pete Dunne. The winner of that match by pinfall, Sheamus. And of course, Cat Kelly's backstage with Undisputed Champion Cody Rhodes. Of course, she's a serious figure, walks to the production truck. Of course, he said, Rhodes says he's going to address what happened with Kevin Owens on Friday. But he's here to find out what it takes to be the Crown Jewel champion. Of course, the next match was a 10-woman tag team match with the Unholy Union, Out the Fire, Aladon versus Pure Fusion Collective. Sonya Deville, Shane Baszler, Zoe Stark versus Natalya, Selena Vega, Lyra Valkyria, Kaden Carter, and Katana Chance. And the winners of this match are Natty, Selena Vega, Lyra Valkyria, Kaden Carter, and Katana Chance. Then next up, we have the World Heavyweight Championship match, Sami Zayn versus the Ring General Gunther. And of course, this turned out to be a great match, even for Monday Night Raw. And the winner of this match is still World Heavyweight Champion, the Ring General himself, Gunther. So, of course, that's the conclusion for Monday Night Raw. And last but not least, of course, NXT takes place in St. Louis as well, in the hometown of the icon, the legend, the guy went from legend killer to legend himself, Randall Keith Orton. Which is going to be at 9:30. All right, then. Great. Sorry about that, everybody. Big fan of having elementary for those that don't know. But of course, when I say that last but not least, for NXT, NXT took place in St. Louis as well. Of course, we see Trick Williams, stuff like that. Stuff like that. Of course, we saw Trick Williams speak after reclaiming the NXT Championship from All Ego Ethan Page, all-time Ego Ethan Page. And of course, Roxanne Perez appeared with Corey J to address NXT Women's Championship picture. Of course, also Kalani Jordan, team with WWE Women's Tag Team Champions Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, of course, to bring down Fatal Influence. Of course, it's the same night that Randy Orton wrestled his first NXT match to test the skill of the 20-year-old Javon Evans, the young OG versus the OG. And to call Randy Orton an OG these days is wild, and still I can't even wrap my head around it. 2 years since he made his debut. And look at where he is now. You know, and of course, that Tony D'Angelo, the Don, stepped into Obafemi, looking to dethrone the longest reigning North American champion of all time. You know, and so of course, Triple Williams is interrupted by Wesley, and of course, what's have Jay Uso come out as well. Um, and like I said, so of course, Trick's next challenger apparently is going to be Wesley, whatever. And of course, we have Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, and Kalani Jordan versus Fatal Influence. And of course, the winners by pinfall, obviously, of course, Jade, Bianca, and Kalani. And I like how all three of them were matching in purple. It's definitely. That was meant to happen. And of course, having coordination is obvious. Then later on, Lash Legend Jakara Jackson called this shot for the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. Of course, Bianca and Jay told them to show up on SmackDown. So I look forward to that. Then we have Stephanie Bakir arriving to help Julia versus Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade. Cora Jade definitely has a long way to go when it comes to the mic skills, as well as in the ring. I'm just saying. The next up, we have the North American Championship match: Obafemi versus the Don, Tony D'Angelo. And surprise, the Don of NXT, Tony D'Angelo, defeats Obafemi, Mr. Nigerian Thanos, by pinfall to capture the North American Championship. So your winner and the new NXT North American Champion, the Don himself of NXT, the one and only Tony D'Angelo. And of course, we have the NXT Tag Team Championship match of Fraxton, Nick Frazier Axton versus A-Town Down Under. Of course, the winners and still NXT Tag Team Champions, Nick Frazier Axton, as he defeated A-Town Down Under, who is still starting to implode slowly but surely. You can definitely see cracks in the foundation of that team. So of course, we see, and another thing we also see, of course, is a 6th grade concert. And of course, the DX delivered their own State of the Union, which I thought was hilarious. I like how they recreated their class in 1997. It's a D-Generation X State of the Union address. One thing is, of course, they sanitized and made it more modern, and use modern internet slang, that they're using these days. And it's just, of course, and I like how HBK and Triple H just make fun of themselves as being the old men who stopped going to the club. That's really what they are, and they are proud of it, and I'm proud to see that, I'm proud to see them in that position, because it could have gone either way, especially when it came to Sean. It could have gone the other way. When Sean Roman was like, it could have gone a different way for Triple H, especially with a heart attack and a pacemaker he's wearing now, right? But it's great to see both of them, age and of course see their 50s, mid to late 50s. So it's just like, I'm all for these wrestlers, aging. I'm saying I'm all for seeing them go past age of 45 and 50 and stuff like that. So of course, the fact that they made fun of themselves, it was great. Especially the way they made fun of themselves last week. CM Punk was the referee. He had the ref shirt and had those shorts and stuff like that. So, like I say, big ups to DX with the way they're running WWE right now. Crazy I'm saying that right now. That DX is DX are the ones that run the company, and Vince has been opposite in disgrace. You know what I mean? Then, of course, the main event, of course, was the much anticipated Juwan Evans versus Randy Orton match. And so, Randy Orton made the young OG wait before showing his veteran experience. And of course, he made sure to slow down and ground the young OG. Juwan Evans is just is like just like a ball of lightning. You know what I mean? This dude is just it's just like a human pogo stick or something like that. Whatever. It's really. If anything, he almost makes 1, 2, 3 kid look slow. And so I mean, like I say, it's just the way he just leaps from, like the most leaps tall buildings within a single bound. Like this dude has Spider-Man agility, just about like flexibility. Um, and so, of course, it works for him, and it also works against him. So I like the pace of this match, and there was a situation where there could have been a really bad botch, um, where especially with Javon, tried to do Orton's move against him, like a leaping springboard RKO off the ropes, whatever, and Orton moved out of the way, whatever. But of course, in the end, um, Randy Orton made sure to carry the match and show, like show the true veteran that he is, the true ring general that he is, like the true OG that he is, and of course, he made sure that they made sure to give Javon the best match of his of his career so far. And so of course, even though Javon pushed Orton to his limit, he still got called the RKO. Of course, the winner by way of victory, by way of pinfall. Excuse me, the winner by way of pinfall, Randall Keith. But I feel as though a match like this has really catapulted Javon Evans' stock. The fact that he was even put in a position like this shows that they're heavily invested in someone like Javon. I believe that had to be a call for HBK and Orton. They were looking at him like, yeah, there's something about this dude. Like, we definitely like it's like he definitely gets it. They definitely have a great eye for talent. And so, and of course, this match when it comes to the younger, the younger up and comer, who's just bouncing from left to right, off the ropes, going, a veteran legend. It reminds me of 1-2-3 Kid versus Bret Hart from that match on Monday Night Raw for the WWE Championship. And really, to this day, you could very much say that was the single best match of X-Pac's entire career. It definitely catapulted him to a level they had never been before. And you could definitely see you could definitely see how green Javon still is, and he has a whole lot more room to improve. And so like I say, I don't think this was so much of a dud. It's just that like it was more a learning experience for him. It's just like like I say, it's just so much more room for him to grow. And I definitely look forward to seeing nothing but the best for him. And I so believe in the young OG. And so, um, I would say that. Sorry about that. I would say, that overall, I was impressed with Bad Blood. It was definitely a great week of wrestling that revolved around Bad Blood. And so, so of course, this brings us to the conclusion of this podcast. And before I finish, I definitely want to, definitely want to acknowledge some birthdays, as I always like to do. Of course, on October 7th, Tony Braxton turned 57. October 8th, gospel legend CeCe Winans turned 60. On that same day, The Miz turns 44. October 9th, which is, of course, today, I have to say happy birthday to Eddie Guerrero. He would have turned 57. Rest in peace to the team. October 10th, Brett Favre turns 55. October 11th, my pastor, the greatest pastor in the world, John K. Jenkins Sr., turns 66 on October 11th. On the same day, of course, NFL Hall of Famer, 49ers legend, Steve Young turns 63. On the same day, Taz turns 57. Rhea Ripley turns 28. Dusty Rhodes, of course, Dusty Rhodes turns 79. Would have turned 79, excuse me. If Dusty was still alive, he would have turned 79 on October 11th. October 12th, Gerald Hall from Hall of Notes turns 78. And of course, on October 13th, the greatest wide receiver of all time, Jerry Rice, turns 62. And so, was that to me, that concludes But but of course, that some of that, of course, that includes um, my birthday. My birthday shout outs. Of course, before I go, I would like to give a word of wisdom, um, and it is that even when you are in the midst of a suffering season, uh, God has a way of giving you uncommon favor, much like He did with Joseph. So even though Joseph was stripped of his, stripped of his initial coat and um, ran away from his second coat, at the same time, calling in favor of the guy had his life was still there, no matter what circumstance he's in. So so of course, God's gonna elevate you from being out from being in a pit to to give you uncommon favor. So that's my word of wisdom. And of course, you're victorious because greater is He that's in you than he that's in the world. When you put God in first place, you don't have to worry about being in last place. And thank you very much for listening. Of course, please make sure to listen to this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or anywhere else that you download podcasts. And of course, thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching. And may this day be the very best day of your life.